All right. Good morning, everybody. How y'all doing? I got 2 or 3 people. How y'all doing today? All right. Feel the energy in the room. Why don't you guys turn to somebody and just greet them and say hello, even if you came with them. Just go ahead and shake your hand. Shake their hand. Wave at them from across the room. Yes. I am excited. My name is Louis Shine. You probably met my lovely wife back there, Sharbria Shine. As you came in the door, we love doing events for entrepreneurs. We've been back in the area since 2020. Right before the pandemic, we moved back. And one of the things that we learned in the area, that there's a lot of entrepreneurs. And sometimes us as entrepreneurs, we need that extra boost of energy or motivation and things like that. And so, we thought it would be something that we would like to do is bring people over that can really energize the entrepreneurs in the area. I know I had years of people pouring into me, and so we wanted to do our part to pour back into others. And so this is what this event is all about. So we're gonna have a good time. So sit back, relax. We have vendors around here. We also have the restrooms right outside to the right. And then please help yourself. Like, I want you guys not to be so tight. Just be loose, have fun, make yourself at home. If you gotta get up and get snacks during the talk, do so. But it's gonna be a good time. So today our sponsor for this event is Lakeshore Video. If you wave your hand back there, George has been with us. Go ahead and clap your hands. Let me show you But George with Lakeshore Video, he does all of our events. Some of you may know we do events all year. We did our expo, our Business and Entrepreneur Expo last year. We're actually doing it this year on November 4th, which you'll see right on your sheets there. But during the year, we thought it would be fitting this year to do some smaller workshop/mixers so that we can get you guys acclimated to one another and just get out and get some information so we won't have a long year in between seeing you guys. So that's why we're doing these. So we're gonna have a good time. So without further ado, I'm gonna introduce our first speaker. It was amazing because the first time I went to her shop, I have a sweet tooth, all right? So I love all kinds of sweets, you name it. I tried to do a good job this year, 2023, I'm getting better. But and she had this vegan cupcake, and I loved it, and so that was one of my favorites. Also, she has these cake pops, and I love those too. But she'll tell you a little more about what she has and what she does. But without further ado, I want to welcome Michelle Wainwright from Cupcake, Cute as a Cupcake.
I'm good.
There you go.
All right. Good morning.
Good morning.
How's everybody doing? So I want to thank Louis and his wife for having me today. I'm super excited to have an opportunity to share with you my journey to entrepreneurship. But again, I'm Michelle Wainwright. I'm the owner and founder of Cute as a Cupcake. Next slide, please. And one more. There we go. So what I hope to be able to share with you today is a little bit about my story, talk to you about Cute as a Cupcake, different resources that I have found to be helpful for me as I've gone through this journey of entrepreneurship, my vision, goals, and obviously give us an opportunity to ask questions and provide answers. But as Louis had referenced, let's keep this conversational, so don't feel like you have to wait to the end. If you have a question for me, let's talk, let's keep this roundtable discussion going, because I think I can learn from you just as much as you can learn from me. All right, so a little bit about my story. Next slide, please. As I referenced, owner, founder, people say CEO of Cute as a Cupcake. I am a native of Terre Haute, Indiana, born and raised. I have a BS from Indiana University in Public Affairs. I have my MBA from IUN Northwest. Thank you very much. I'm also a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. I am a member of Jack and Jill of America. I'm president of the Board of Trustees at Forest Ridge Academy. I'm married. My husband, Arthur Wainwright, is in the building this morning. We have 3 children, and after 3 p.m., Monday through Friday, I am an Uber driver. So we partake in that to get these kids everywhere they need to go. They are 16, 14, and 12. So we are super busy. But how did I get here? So prior to, you can move to the next slide. Prior to becoming an entrepreneur, I spent majority of my career in the pharmaceutical industry, and I loved it. I loved it so much. It offered me great opportunities coming from a single parent home, humble beginnings, get into the pharma business. I was able to see and experience so many different things. And I know sometimes my husband would even tell me I was drinking the Kool-Aid because I loved being with Novartis at the time. But they had laid me off. And that was not uncommon in the pharmaceutical industry for you to get laid off. And then my time had finally came. But when it came, I had such a peace over me, and I didn't know why, and I couldn't explain it. I had colleagues that were nervous. We got laid off in October, so right before the holiday season, but I had such a peace over me. And I couldn't articulate it, and I couldn't let people understand when my other colleagues were frantic about it. But before we got laid off, I had been promoted to a new position. And within the position, there was levels, and they had put me in that position, and they had put me at the senior level of that position. And I remember calling the HR director, like, I can't be at the senior level position just starting this new role because the expectations were higher for you. And I'm like, I just got into this position, and you want me to perform at a certain level. I don't even know it. I'm learning it. No, take me down from that ranking. And it was so funny because I called like multiple times, but they never removed me from that ranking. But it was God, because when they let me go, my severance was higher because I was in that ranking. And then I was able to take my severance and start Cute as a Cupcake. So different things happen, and sometimes we be in our own way when blessings are coming and didn't even know they were coming. So next slide, please. One more. So Cute as a Cupcake. With me, I have 5 core values that I focus on at Cute as a Cupcake. Number 1 is providing great customer service. Because I'm a small business, I don't have a corporate office that I can call and say, hey, can you wire me X amount of dollars to pay payroll? So customer service and giving them a great experience is critically important. Second would be having a quality product. So all of the cupcakes are handcrafted and made from scratch with my grandmother's recipes. So that makes it even more special. The third thing is inclusivity, because we want to make sure that we can accommodate anybody. As Lewis had mentioned, we offer vegan and gluten-free and sugar-free. But beyond that, it's also social economical status, because our price point is at $3.75. So we want everybody to feel like they can come into our shop and purchase a cupcake and not feel like it's not for them. The fourth thing is being a community advocate. So we have a nonprofit called Cutie Cares. And with Cutie Cares and grants with partnerships, we've been able to go out into the community, whether it's the Boys and Girls Club, St. Jude House, Starbase out of Gary. We'll go in and do cupcake decorating classes with the kids. We'll give out free cupcakes. It's just an opportunity for us to make everyone smile. And then finally, results driven, because we have to be profitable. So if everything 1 through 4 is occurring, then we should be able to see the results so we can keep our doors open. Next slide, please. So where can you find Cute as a Cupcake? Let me share with you, when I first began, I was 39, laid off. I'm like, okay, I want to now have a dessert shop. Well, I've always wanted something like that when I retired, because I like coffee, I like books, I like the opportunity to fellowship in small settings. So I said I want to do that when I retired. Didn't know retirement was going to come earlier for me. But again, okay, I want to do this. I got great recipes. How do I get started? Vendor fairs and farmers markets. That's where I started. I didn't know that was such a network of people that supported small businesses. So being involved in those, and all the towns have one, from Cedar Lake, Griffith, Crown Point. I do them all. Still to this day, still do them all. But that's how I got started. And then the response from those markets, we moved into a kiosk at the mall before the business model changed, before Amazon really started, taking over a lot of stuff. We did a kiosk there. And then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna step out on faith and go ahead and open a storefront. So I opened the first storefront in 2016. And then last week, I opened my second storefront. Yeah, thank you. So in addition to the brick and mortar locations, we do have obviously our own website. We're on Amazon, Etsy, the W Marketplace, and another place called Snack Magic. We have our cupcake trucks. So we have 2 of them now, and as I talked about, still going into those vendor fairs and farmers markets, we get our trucks out there. We also do catering for private companies like this week. It doesn't even matter that it's cold outside, but it's Black History Month, so we're going to a company to give out cupcakes. So it's a beautiful thing. And then we do have business to business. We have some wholesale accounts. So we partner with Maryville Tea and Florist here locally, Welch's shop that's in St. John, and Off Square Brewery that's in Crown Point. So showing this is really, as you think about your journey in entrepreneurship, understanding that you need to have multiple levels of revenue. Because what I find, the cupcake shop can be sometimes slower in the summer months, right? Because people want to be outside, they don't necessarily want to be in a building, but then that's where the trucks come in. They help us, right? So having the different revenue streams is critically important as you begin your journey or continue on in your journey. Next slide, please. One more. So resources. Through all of this, I would say the common denominator is relationships, networking, connecting with people, the experience that you have with these resources. So Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Program, I participated in that in 2019, phenomenal. Again, it's the networking that I was able to achieve through that. In that program, they talked about finances and marketing and system and processes, which is all good. Because a lot of times, as you are in your entrepreneurship journey, you can feel alone and be siloed. And then these opportunities or these resources are really what helps us as entrepreneurs as we continue to move through our journey. The Women Business Development Center, so we're kind of an anomaly here in Northwest Indiana because where we're supposed to go technically is Michigan, but obviously where we are, it's a little far away. But there is an office in Chicago, so I spend quite a bit of my time in that Chicago office. But they do allow you to go back and forth. They do offer, obviously, virtual things to do, but that has been a great resource. What I've learned through those things to highlight is scaling up, which is teaching you how to scale your business. Because there's a lot of things that we just don't know how to do. And you'd be like, oh yeah, I want to get in Target. I want to get in Sam's Clubs or whatever it might be. But there's a process to that. And it's expensive to do things like that as well. So just understanding that knowledge, because when I left that class, I was like, oh, okay, I think I'm going to wait on trying to get on somebody's retail shelves because it costs you more to get on a retail shelf than it is for you to be like, oh, I'm about to make all this money. But not to say you can't do it. It's just where you are with your finances and so forth to be able to do it. Thrive is another one within the Women Business Development Center where they teach you again about your processes with your business, your employee manuals, things like that, just different resources to kind of help you along. Because again, I didn't go to school for entrepreneurship. Yeah, I have my MBA, but a lot of this learning is on the go. You know, you learn different things, and as you partake in different resources, you continue to learn more and more. The Small Business Development Center that's located here in Crown Point, it is led by Lori Felt. That also was phenomenal. When I had put together my package to get my loan, they offered like the projection spreadsheet. They give you so many free resources. I'm on my 3rd trademark, and that office paid for my 3rd trademark because they get grants and so forth. So it's like, where's the money at? That's where I need to go, because that's probably the greatest challenge being a small business owner is capital. That is so hard. But Breed Love Entrepreneurship Center, that's another accelerator that's out of the YWCA in Chicago. I had an opportunity to receive a grant worth $50,000 in branding and marketing. And they gave me the opportunity to work with a gentleman by the name of Stanley Hainsworth. And Stanley has been legendary working with companies like Starbucks, Gatorade, Lego. So my little old me got to work with him and create a whole new branding storm for me. And I remember when we did our first Zoom call, I had to turn the camera off because I was ugly crying. Because I felt so blessed and honored to have had that opportunity and didn't even know those things existed. So again, coming out of this list is the connection, so someone else can connect you and keep going. G-Beta is a program that's out of Indiana. It talks about how to raise money, the funding, the seeding, the next level that you want to get to when you're using somebody else's money to further enhance your business. Certifications, that's another key thing. You have, for Cute as a Cupcake, we are woman-owned, so that was a certification that we got through the Women Business Development Center. And we're also Minority Women Business Enterprise through the state of Indiana, state of Illinois, and Chicago. So why those certifications matter is just another opportunity to create revenue for your business, because there is set aside money that states and cities have where they specifically have to work with diverse companies. So that's another reason why to get certified. It's not going to bring you $1 million, but you never know what contracts that you might have, and it just, again, gives you more exposure for your business. Having a trademark attorney, that's so important. If it's the little bittiest thing, step out and get your trademark, protect your business. I have 3. I got more coming, but you gotta have that, that's the groundwork. A general attorney, an accountant, and a banker. Banker, really you wanna build your relationship with your banker and build it before you need it, because that's really when it's gonna come in handy. Someone had introduced me to a lady, we kept talking, and when I was ready for my loan, there was no problem. There was no issue, because she had already had familiarity with me, and then obviously I had to provide the required documentation. Next slide, please. So the vision. My vision is a life without cupcakes is a life without love. So what that means is if you don't have no cupcakes, you don't have no love. So I gotta get you cupcakes so you can have love. And that means everywhere, right? No matter who you are, where you are, I gotta get cupcakes or Cute as a Cupcake in your hand. So with that, I wanna transform the way that we eat our cupcakes from the traditional way to the cutie cupcake in the jar. So the cutie cupcake in a jar, when I started in the vendor fairs and farmers markets, that's what I would take. And I intentionally took that because I didn't want to ruin someone's experience as they're shopping, they're putting things in the bag, and then they're gonna worry about their cupcake flipping over and messing up, and it's no longer cute at that point. So I did the jars. And so then, when I got the shop, we focused primarily on the cupcake. Because again, I want you to come in the shop and make your selection and go home with these cute cupcakes. Well, then COVID hit. So there was no more foot traffic, right? It's funny how God does things, because he brought me back to the jar. Because that was the only way that I can still be able to have my cupcakes out there, right? Because my vision, a life without cupcakes, life without love, I shipped them nationwide. And that's how we kept our doors open through COVID. We shipped cupcakes to every state. It was crazy, and I wasn't prepared for it either. So that's sometimes a little bit in entrepreneurship, you gotta be agile and nimble, because you don't know what changes are gonna come your way, but if you receive it and be open to the learning, you'll make it. And so we were shipping. Initially, I had everything in a glass jar. Things were being broken. I had to pay for it. It was so much of the learning. But again, it was great opportunity for us because our footprint grew. So despite the challenges that I had in learning how to ship, because my office had became my shipping department, we still were able to build the brand. And as a result, we got recognition from Country Crock, where we did a partnership with them when they launched their plant-based butter. They reached out to us to do cupcakes in a jar, almost crashed my website. So again, not knowing how to prepare for these things, but being agile and nimble as you go through it, you learn it and make it happen. So one thing to take away from me today is be agile, be nimble, because there are a lot of changes, a lot of ups and downs, a lot of days you're like, okay, I'm done, I'm quitting, I'm going back to work, that come along with entrepreneurship. But if it's really in your heart, you'll keep moving, you'll for sure keep moving. So again, we're gonna transform the way you eat the cupcakes to back in the jar. Next slide, please. And again, if you haven't seen the jar, why it's so valuable for us, great profit margin is because you have a 30-day shelf life, whereas with the traditional cupcake, you get 2 to 3 days, right? And then with the jar, you can also freeze it for up to 6 months. And then once a consumer opens it, you got 10 days to eat it. So that gives a little bit more longevity, right? Next slide, please. So this is what I've done, right? So, thank you. Not yet.
Are these in airports?
That is the plan. So when I was doing the jars in 2020, again, remember, I only did the jars and the vendor fairs and farmers markets, but when we got the brick and mortar location, it was back in my mind, I'm not fooling with it anymore. But COVID hit, okay, we had such great response. Well, what else can we do? So you guys familiar with Farmer Fridge? The salads in the jar, if you go to the airport, office buildings, et cetera, you'll see their vending machines with salads. Same concept, but we got the cupcake in the jar, right? I've reached out to Farmer Fridge. I'm like, hey, can we partner? And they're like, no. Because I had something sweet, and their machines are healthy, salads. Okay, it's cool. I'll make my own. So that's what I did. And so with our vending machine, the intent was to leverage the same business model as Farmer Fridge, but the manpower is what I didn't have to make sure that I can make those connections. So to do business with the airport, you have to have certain certifications. And I have those certifications. And I thought, okay, I got these certifications, but can I get the machine in? No. Still gotta keep building relationships. Still gotta meet the right people, still gotta wait for the RFP, still gotta do all these different things. And I was like, okay, but I got this machine and it has to go somewhere. It has to make some money. So I'm actually gonna place it in a mall. So we've got contract in the works to go into one of the Illinois malls. So even though it isn't going where I wanted it to go, I still have desires for it to go there. But as I referenced, being agile and being nimble, because you gotta be able to make these changes. But that is our vision. That is the Cutie Cupcake in the Jar. So even starting the business, the second location, I only wanted 5. But then when COVID hit, I was like, ooh, I don't know if I want all these locations because everything shuts down. And so then thinking kind of outside the box of what else can I do to still meet my vision, to still get the cupcakes in the hands of people, to build the brand, to enhance our footprint, and be able to leverage it through ways like this, right? Next slide, please. So the airport, I just wanted to show this because this is the direction I was going and the amount of money that is there, right? Doing the research and just understanding Midwest, right? So sometimes we want to think so big, oh, I want to do all this, but you got to bring it back a little bit and take the small steps so you can get to the bigger step. And so I was like, well, let me kind of focus on the Midwest airports. Doing that, if they bought jars, if 250 million passengers did that, it's like $2.25 billion. So clearly it shows that there is a market, and it's a market for us and many of us as well. Next slide, please. One more. So as I talked about the goals with the vending machines, just really trying to make those connections. And that's one of the things, just connecting and being a connector. So if you know anybody that knows somebody, whether it's at the airport, train station, colleges, universities, wherever it might be, just continue to build those connections and network with one another, because that's what's critically important. Next slide, please. So That's all I have for you guys today. I appreciate the time, but I'll definitely take questions if you have any. Anything on your mind? Yeah, go ahead. I did. And I went to work this morning and didn't bring anything, so my apologies. I get that all the time where people are like, how do you have nothing in your van? And it's just like out of sight. Yeah, but please feel free to stop in the Maryville location or the Cherryville location. Yeah.
I guess my question is with the vending machines, who did you reach out to have them like custom designed? They had to be custom designed.
Yep, custom design, yeah. I have researched different companies. I found one in Ohio because primarily my research led me to California. But I found a small company in Ohio called IBS. And they do a number of different custom machines. And they were great to work with, small business. You know, obviously I'm not a large corporation and they work with large corporations, but they were willing to work with me to get that machine. And so it was phenomenal. So a machine like that is about 10 grand. That's about how that one ran. And that was the least expensive one that they had. And I remember calling like, I want 2 machines, you know, and they were like, okay. I said, okay, I only want one. Let's start with one. That's why I got to get this one placed. So this one can start making my money back. But yes, thanks for asking. Yes.
Are those glass jars or are they plastic jars?
They're now plastic. Yeah, so they're BPA free, food grade plastic. Again, as a result of the learning, we had to be able to uncover that. Yeah.
I just figured that they was in the airport.
Yeah.
Take
Can't take that on a flight, but yeah, they're now plastic. But again, learning as I went, I didn't know that because that wasn't where the vision was. Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so you have a banker, you have a trademark attorney, you have a general attorney. Who is your food biologist and how did you discover to extend the shelf life of a cupcake from 2 days
Yeah.
to 6 months and then 10 days thereafter?
So don't have a food biologist. We've been testing everything in sight. So because of that, we're able to get away with that, but we don't have to have a food biologist because what we're doing is just simply a cupcake. So we're not required to have that biologist. And that's only what we've been told thus far. I haven't got any pushback. Everything that we do in-house has been accepted. So we haven't been forced to even deal with that. I think if we went to like a manufacturer, that will come in play. But because we're doing everything in-house, we have not been addressed with that at all.
So
Yeah.
I think then it would be held by some type of FDA regulations depending on how large you get.
Yeah, so still being small, we haven't been approached with that yet.
Do you have any plans on possibly being at Target, Walmart, expanding that market?
Initially, yes, right? Again, trying to think big and where to go. And what I learned when you're dealing with those retailers, you have to have a substantial amount of money. Because if a product doesn't sell, you are responsible for bringing that product out. They want you to spend thousands of dollars on their marketing. So commercials, newsletters, or the flyers that they have. That's another thing. If something goes wrong, I mean, it's all you. So really, one bad move could just take me all the way out. But small steps, Target actually offers an accelerator program to really learn their business, to become a vendor and things like that. And then through that program, it'll help you determine if whether or not you want to really be on their shelf. So they do a really good job with minorities in general of educating you and seeing if you can even be on their shelves. But it's more expensive, right? So that's why I look for other avenues to partner with smaller retailers. And that's another thing, they want data. They want data to see how well you have performed. But if you haven't been on anybody's shelves, you can't give them data. So you kind of start with the smaller businesses as well and create those collaborations so you can eventually get data if that's something you want to do. But last year we were given the opportunity to be on Walmart.com, which is like Amazon, right? So you can do things like that. But to initially get on their shelves, I think we still, if I'm just very candid about it, because like, yeah, I want to get there, but we still have some growing to do financially. So what's one of the things that I'm trying to learn is about how to raise money. whether it's a debt equity or getting funding from other people, investors, if you will, like the whole Shark Tank thing and things like that. I personally am not in the space that I want to give up some of my company, so like debt financing might be the best for me. But at the same time, I'm just trying to learn that space because I'm seeing so many different people raise funds, whether it's Pinky Cole from Slutty Vegan, or even you got Mael Organics that's doing big things right now with investors. That's kind of the look or the direction I want to go to understand that so I can further scale the business. So if it works, great. But since I've learned from that class on how to do retail and scale, it kind of was like, ooh, we got some growing to do before we can get there. There was a young lady in my class who had a tea company, and she was in Walgreens, and something had happened with the shipment. They didn't put the labels on or something, and she couldn't even put it in the store. So she had lost all that money from making all those teas, and because there was not a certain kind of labeling, she couldn't put it in. So it was just like devastating. So you can't be afraid, but you gotta be very clear and specific and strategic on what you wanna do. Otherwise, because you can tell somebody you're in Target, it can take you all the way out. Yeah. Go ahead.
Two questions. You mentioned one way to get finances. My question about the finance part. Speak a little bit more on the debt finance.
So that's my goal, to understand it, to learn it, right? Traditional capital, we can do the banks, you can do your friends, family, etc. But that's where I am now, to make it a priority for me to really learn that this year, to learn that space so I can figure out if I can get into that space and what it will cost me or not cost me. So understanding the debt financing, the equity financing, because the equity is you giving up something and how much you want to give up, how long you have to give it up. There are a lot of people, there's a company here also, and I haven't met the gentleman, was it Rockland? He owns the t-shirt business in Maryville. Rock-a-Block, yeah. I follow him on Facebook, and I saw he's doing a Kickstarter campaign where he's raising funds. So I'm trying to learn. A company had called me a couple months ago called Honeycomb. Same thing, but then you have to do SEC filing. So I'm not familiar with those things, but that's my intent. So if you know anybody that has familiarity with that space, I would love to be connected with them because that's what I'm trying to learn next. Yeah.
I wrote it down. That's a new one to my ear.
Mm-hmm.
So the second one that I come with, question I have is, when you get into entrepreneurship, it's all about the startup. For you, your journey was a severance package.
Mm-hmm.
When it came with X amount of dollars, what would you recommend for someone starting when it comes to how much percentage are you get from a loan versus when you come out of pocket?
Mm-hmm. The SBA is a great tool for small business owners, and then you have to have 20%. So to 100,000 loan, you got to come up with 20,000. But what was great, so that's what I did. So when I came up with that 20,000, it was able to show receipts and stuff of what I had spent. So I didn't physically have to show them 20. The different expenditures that I had that equaled up to the 20. So that was a way. But you want to do, I find community banks. So I know Centir does a lot. I personally bank with Peoples. I've been with them. When it was time to get the PPP, I had no issues because I was close to my banker from cell phone, email, like, hey, we got to get this in. Where I know other entrepreneurs that were banking with like Chase and the bigger ones, it took them forever to get their money. So a community banker, I think, is the best way to go, and being able to make those relationships. What to ask for, I think it's called a 7A loan, and it goes up to maybe 500,000. But get what you need, because you still got to pay that sucker back. You still got to pay it back, but I would sincerely get what you need. And another mindset change too, I don't like owing anybody anything, but a lot of entrepreneurs tell you don't spend your own money. Spend somebody else's money, right? But my thing is like, well, what if I can't make the payment? So that is the thing. So it's a shift in the mindset that I got to get comfortable being able to owe someone. Because I've paid back my loans. I was like, oh, I paid it back. I don't want another one. But I had to get another one to open the second location. You know, so it's constant. So if nothing else, come out of that mindset. If you can get a loan, take a loan, spend somebody else's money. And I'm not like the best financial guru, but I understand when you take loans and stuff and how it works on your taxes and things like that, it's better for us. So this is what I'm saying, someone in the space of financing, there's so much out there that we just haven't been able to tap into yet. You know, and that's where I feel like is the biggest opportunity on how we can learn to leverage someone else's dollars, to get investors, et cetera, so that way we can grow. But we can grow without having to give our stuff away, to give them our whole business, and then we've done all that for nothing. So, yeah, go ahead.
I have to say, your cupcakes are delicious.
Well, thank you.
Birthday party last month, January, my 50th birthday.
Ah,
My sister ordered the cupcakes in 50.
oh, awesome.
Everybody at the party was like, those cupcakes are delicious. Where did they come from?
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Get her cupcakes, they are delicious.
Thank you. Thank you. We work hard. We try. So I appreciate that. Thank you for the support. Go ahead.
From a location, when you looked at where you put your brick and mortar, what was some of your process of determining what would be the right location? How did you come to this is where we think?
Location, it was critical. So my first location was on Broadway. I've been living in Maryville for over 23 years. What's the street that's the post office is on? What street is that? Because you got the post office and at the corner, it used to be 81st? 80th, something like that. And then at one point in time, it was Beaner's Coffee, I think. Then it went to Z's Cakes and Shake. And on that street, on Broadway, there was a building that's still vacant, put it to this time. 2016, when we looked at it, it's still vacant today. But I was looking at that spot, but it was my husband that found the spot that we're in right now. I was just looking for a major thoroughfare that had traffic, right? Foot traffic. I just needed to have, because I knew that was going to be the primary point of my business is foot traffic. So I was just looking for something busy. I'm Broadway, that's the busiest street here in Northwest Indiana. So something had happened where I was dealing with a broker, and they kept trying to put fee on top of fee on top of fee. And I was like, man. But when Arthur had found the place that we're in now, it was a privately owned. He wasn't all about the CAM fees and the taxes and all this other stuff. His father had passed the building down him. I'm sure the building is paid for because the father has since passed away. This is my landlord's play money. And he still comes and picks up the check. You know, very basic. So I went there, not because of location first, but because of the relationship. And initially, he wasn't trying to give me the space either because he didn't believe in my vision. He didn't believe in cupcakes. But just helping him understand who I was and what I wanted to do and having that vision, he was like, oh, okay. So we signed a 3-month lease, and this is going to be our 8th year there, right? So I had to help him understand what I was trying to do, but Bruce wasn't for it. But what I love about him is that we have a great relationship. My Cherville location is with a broker, with the CAM fees and the taxes and all that other stuff, right? But I feel confident because we were able to build the brand, we should be able to handle what that is. So location does matter, because if I would have went on Broadway, you had Grandeur Sweets, you had Z's Cakes and Shakes, you would have had Q's and Cupcake. We all would have been within 2 blocks from each other, you know. And that's not to say it's not a bad thing, because you got McDonald's and Burger King, everybody together. But coming out initially from the bottom and trying to build it up, and then have 3 companies doing the exact same thing, it would have been harder too, you know. But location does matter. But that relationship to me was the primary factor in why we chose it. So, yeah.
Share with us your exact location in Cherville where you're located.
Absolutely. So we're at 727 Main Street in Cherville. So we're right next door to Overwise Ice Cream. So they are our neighbor, and then to the left of us is Little Caesars Pizza. So when we talk about location, just having places that will complement us. And Taco Tia in Maryville, they're busy. They're in our plaza as well. So we get a lot of their customers. And now in Cherville, we're getting a lot of the ice cream and the pizza customers. So that helped us out with location too. I mean, you'll have people go buy Overwise ice cream and then come next door and get a cupcake, So it's like, oh, this is great. We're creating that synergy there. So yeah, thank you. All right, any further questions? Well, thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time. You guys have a great day. Yeah.
I'll give another round of applause for Michelle, please. All right. We're going to take about a 8-minute break. Now, I want to challenge you guys. I know it was a random number, wasn't it? First number came to mind. But we're going to take a little break. I'm going to challenge you guys. Let's take 10 minutes, all right? And what I want you guys to do, you can, of course, use the restroom. And we have some amazing vendors that we're going to actually introduce when we come back. But please go over and visit them. But during this time, I want every person in here to introduce yourself to one person in the room that you do not know. I'm going to push you guys to network, all right? So during this 10-minute time, restroom, grab snacks, vendors, meet one person, all right? Ready, go. We'll be back in 10. There's a few people I want to, give a shout out to. We have a few vendors over here. Mickey Starks. Mickey, if you could stand up for us and wave your hand, all right? She is the owner of Star Fashions Boutique. She's been in business for 3 years. She also has an online boutique, starfashionsboutique.com. She sells a variety of women's clothing and accessories. So make sure you make your way over and check out what she has going on. And maybe there's some networking opportunities to where you guys can collaborate and link up together to do some big things. So clap your hands for Mickey, please. All right. Now we also have Miss Lori with Lori's exclusive costume, jewelry, and accessories. Clap your hands for her. All right. She's been in business and entrepreneurship since 2013 while working with the Cath Lab as a cardiovascular tech. She also has an assisted living home in Gary. All right. Also, she's her own notary, which is called Notary Mobile Flow. So a true entrepreneur. Why don't you guys clap your hands for her? Make sure you go over and visit her as well. All right, this next person I'm going to bring up is one of our sponsors for this event, Mr. George. He is with Lakeshore Video. We're going to allow him to say a few words. Go ahead, give him a round of applause.
Hello, I'm George Nix. My company was based out of Crown Point. I moved to Valparaiso in the summer of last year. Lakeshore Video is basically just corporate video work. I also do headshots and stuff like that too under George Nix Photography. George Nix Photography is mainly wedding work. I do wedding videos, wedding photos. For Lakeshore Video, most of what we do is like events and then marketing stuff. So we work with a PR firm in Chicago to do a lot of political videos like aldermen and judges and stuff like that. And then I also work with a lot of different corporate stuff in Chicago, like lawyers and financial firms and stuff like that. So if anybody needs a video for their business, let me know. We do lots of marketing stuff. If you have an event coming up, we do specialize in live streaming. So we can do up to 6 cameras. They're all wireless, so I can put them anywhere in the room. It's a really cool setup that I got going. It's something I just got going this year with the wireless stuff. And we do TEDx stuff every year. So if you want to visit my website, lakeshorevideo.com, you can check out the blog. I just posted a blog about the TEDx event we did at Valparaiso University a couple weeks ago. And that kind of gives you the full rundown of our whole wireless live streaming setup because we did live stream that. And then if anybody's getting married, I know you are, let me know, and we can do photo and video for you guys for that. So thank you.
All right. So listen, he's done all of our events. Last year, we had a lineup of 10 plus events. We had a Jazz and Gospel Fest. He filmed that. We also had a Entrepreneur and Business Expo last November, which we're doing again. As you can see on your sheets, he filmed that as well. So he does all of our stuff, and he does a great job. So clap your hands for him again, please. All right. Just a couple more things before we bring our next speaker up. We have another person that is a supporter of our events and does a lot of things for us. I want her to come up and talk about her her business for a few moments. So won't you guys welcome to the stage Miss Ty Creighton with Caring Transitions.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. As he said, I am Ty Creighton, and I am co-owner. I am in business with my husband, so yay, right? I am co-owner and CEO of Caring Transitions of Crown Point. So we are selling a service, not a product, okay? But we are in the business of working with people in the community. We are a part of a franchise, but we are locally owned and operated. And we've been in business since 2006, the company, but we've recently expanded to the area. About a little over a year. So we really are just spreading the word, telling everybody we are here to help. I like to let people know that I am also a licensed clinical social worker. So working with people, that's my jam, that's what I do. And when we work with people with Caring Transitions, our goal is to make the transition, because life happens, it's gonna happen. And we work to make those transitions as stress-free as possible. So we are certified to work with seniors. We do downsizing, relocation. We move them. We will set their home up the way they want it to. We do space planning, floor planning. If they have a lot of items, we do liquidation as well. So we do online auctions and estate sales. So we are concierge for the fancy and a one-stop shop for us who like Target and Walmart, okay? Okay. So I just wanted to take a few minutes to tell you who we are. And if you don't need our services, tell somebody else because they might, okay? Thank you.
All right. We are minutes away from our next speaker, but if you could take out your raffle ticket, I have a couple things that I like to give away. Anybody like giveaways? All right. So we do have our Entrepreneur and Business Expo coming up on November the 4th. I mean, it's going to be amazing. Anybody in here attended last year? Okay. Well, everybody that didn't attend, this is going to be the year to attend, all right? All right, so we're going to give away 2 tickets. And if you win this and you have multiple people in your company, we will make sure your entire company gets access to come to this event. So first ticket number 023-400-35. All right, Miss Tony. Now, for anybody that wins these that I will call, make sure you see me immediately after, and I will make sure we get those tickets over to you. Next ticket for the Entrepreneur and Business Expo on November the 4th, 023-400-31. All right. We got a winner in the back. Make sure you see me immediately after. Don't leave without seeing me, all right? All right, last one that we're going to call, and then we're going to get to our next speaker for the Business and Entrepreneur Expo. 023-400-32. All right, you guys are together. You guys want your separate tickets, or you want to share them? You want to share them? All right, I'm going to call another number. All right, pull your ticket out. Next number, 02-340-049. That's you. All right, congratulations. Make sure you see me afterwards, and I'll make sure you get set up. We're going to come back with a few more giveaways at the end. So anybody here like jazz music? All right, so we got the Jazz and Gospel Fest coming up this summer. So we're going to give away some tickets for that at the end. So make sure you stick around. But we're going to go to our next speaker. We are excited. Now, this person I'm bringing up to speak that has come over all the way from Fort Wayne, Indiana. Any Fort Wayne people in the house? He's come over from Fort Wayne. We've been connected for almost 3 decades, all right? And, you know, the things that I learned because I sat under him and also was a part of a lot of the things that he did within his life that he'll probably talk about, you know, mainly in some areas of ministry and just being able to sit under him and watch him build and some of the things that, you know, God had him put his hand to that, you know, are still existing to this day and are thriving because of, you know, some of the things that he put in place. It's been amazing. And to be able to see that and grow from that and learn and actually be a mentee to him as my mentor for years in a lot of different ways. I really wanted to get him over here. Actually had him slated to come last year, but really been working to get him, and I finally got him. All right, so I really wanted him to come in and really speak into this atmosphere, into this region, and share some of the things that he's done. So I'm going to go ahead and bring him up. So without further ado, we want to welcome to the stage Mr. Herb Ford.
All right. So do any of you guys know Lewis personally? Let me see your hands. You might know Lewis. Okay, got you. Okay, well, if you know him, you know that young man right there can do just about anything, don't you? I'm surprised you ain't got an S on your chest right now, man. He is good at what he does. I've known him for a very long time and just really excited to be here this morning. I am a newly transplant over to the Fort Wayne area. I just moved over maybe about 8 months ago. I spent the majority of my life in the state of Ohio, actually. But I was born, it's so crazy. I was born in Chicago, and then I moved to Michigan, and then I went to college and lived most of my life in Ohio, and now I'm in Indiana. It's like full circle. And, I remember being in high school. I was a track and field athlete, and we went to the Midwest Meet of Champions. And these are the four of the 5 states that were in it, and I've lived in all of them. So this is kind of different. But anyway, my name is Herb Ford. I am an entrepreneur. I'm a dad. I'm a husband. My wife and I will celebrate our 28th wedding anniversary here this year. Yes, God is good. She's better at it than I am. So anyway, but yeah, so I have a 22-year-old son who is a full scholarship athlete at Youngstown State University. He graduated as one of the fastest 19-year-olds in the nation. I think he was number 25 in the 200 meter. And I have a 14-year-old daughter who is at a college showcase right now in Indianapolis for soccer because her team is one of the top 3 teams in the state of Indiana. So I love sports because they gave me an out when I was growing up in Flint, Michigan. Because when I grew up in there was a lot of gang violence and a lot of people, killing each other. And so my father told me that I needed to promise him that I would graduate from college so that I wouldn't have to come back and be a part of that per se. So I'm very thankful for that. But anyway, for the majority of my working career, I was in full-time ministry. And so y'all might hear a little bit about Jesus a little bit here today. If the saints are in here, somebody say amen. Amen. All right, well, I'm in the right place then is what it is. I like to move around, so just so y'all know I'm not crazy. So this pulpit is here, but this podium is here. See, I can't hide, can I? All right, but that's kind of where it is. But anyway, so I at a very young age, I knew that I wanted to be in business. Okay, so got my time going. All right, so I knew I wanted to be in business, so I started out selling lemonade. Okay, and I'd have kids come by the house and I would sell icy cups. Cause y'all know what an icy cup is? So you have like the foam cup and you put lemonade in there or Kool-Aid. Y'all see, I'm about to date myself, but when we used to make Kool-Aid, you had a cup of sugar or was it 2 cups of sugar? I don't know. You're supposed to one. Okay, well, 1.5. You know what I mean? Make it good. But anyway, so we would have those. We would sell those, and then because I lived in Michigan, we was gonna have winter, so I was gonna be able to shovel some snow, and so I end up doing that. And I remember cutting grass. So what I would do is I put a suit on, and in the hot, summertime, and I would go door to door and try to find people that would let me cut their grass, and I get paid for it. And so I knew at those very young ages that I would end up being able to do something on the entrepreneur side. I ended up graduating from high school. Our track team was a perennial state powerhouse. We ran one state 3 out of my 4 years that I was there. And so ended up getting a track scholarship to the University of Toledo, where I graduated with my bachelor's degree there. And it was great. I loved it. I traveled. I ran against an Olympian before. Have you ever seen an Olympian in person? Yeah, I ran against one of them, Ben Johnson. Do y'all guys remember him? So y'all know I'm dating myself, right? He got banned for life from the planet from running, but I got to run against him in Canada. And so as I was coming up, after I graduated, I had the opportunity to go into sales. I went into sales. I first worked as a copier sales rep and worked for a company called Pitney Bowes Corporation. I worked for them for a number of years. I sold so much, though. I always wanted the pharma job. I always wanted the pharma job. Why? Because they get the car, they get the expense account, they get the American Express card, they get the car. I mean, it was awesome. And so I wanted to do that, but the problem was my GPA wasn't the greatest, number one, and I hadn't really sold anything strong, And so they said, go sell something hard to sell and then come back. And so I went and sold copiers, and in 6 months, I sold more copiers than the entire team together did the last year before. I got promoted to a sales manager in 6 months. So either they was crazy or I was crazy for taking the job, okay? I was set up for failure immediately. But anyway, so I went from there to doing some payroll sales, and then over to pharma. I worked for the second largest pharmaceutical conglomerate in the world for a very short period of time, because I did it for about 7 months and I left the company. Can you believe that? I left in 7 months. The only reason is, and you'll understand it when I say it, I felt that my skill set was higher than what they were asking me to do every day. I felt like a glorified lunch person versus an actual entrepreneur. How many people don't understand what I'm talking about right now? Yeah, whatever. But anyway, but it still was great money, So my crazy self went over into full-time ministry. I became an administrative pastor for a church that had about 700 members in it in Lima, Ohio. And it wasn't one of them churches where you come in and turn the lights on and we're going to have church today. No, this was a church that eventually I would become one of the spearheads to plant several businesses in the Lima, Ohio area. One of them was the Air Force Community School. We saw, and this will get to my first point here today that I'd like you to jot down when you're talking about business, is first of all, you have to find a significant why. A significant why. Because a significant why is important, because if you don't have that, during tough times, you won't navigate the ebbs and flow of business. There are businesses that are not alive today because of COVID. But then we saw a speaker today where her business is alive and well today and navigated through COVID. Why? Because there's a significant why. Somebody say why. So when I was there in Lima, one of the things that we noticed was that the high schoolers were graduating with a 7th grade reading and math level, 8th grade tops. And we said to ourselves as a church, we didn't want the students in the area to not be able to graduate and do well academically. And we said, you know what, we need to get some teachers together. We need to find something out. And so we started with a little private school with about 15 kids in it, all right? Most of them are ours. Y'all know what I'm talking about? And so we started right there. And we had people that were Christians. We had people that were Muslims. We had people that were from all walks of life in that particular deal. Okay, I probably need to stand in one spot. I'm getting a little wild here. But one of the things that I noticed was as we begin to do that, God began to breathe on that thing. And so that thing began to grow. And then I became the vice president of the school board because I started writing grants of $100,000 here, $200,000 here, and different things. We need to pay for security. We got to have cameras because parents need to see what's going on in the classroom. We need to do this. And so then the school became 300 students, and it's still going today. I think that's an awesome thing. And so as I'm there doing that, they said, well, look, we need to do some other things. So we ended up creating a daycare. The daycare went from like 10 kids to at one point 180 kids, okay? 180 kids in the summertime. 180 kids. Why? Because you got summer program, got about 50, 60 of them in there. And you got the infants. We did infants. Y'all know we crazy. All the way up. So we began to work that thing. And today, it is still going today, Cornerstone Daycare over in Lima, Ohio. Well, if that wasn't enough, we wanted to put up 2 more churches, okay? So we put up a couple more churches, one in Dayton, one in Fort Wayne. Then on top of that, we said, you know what else can we? Oh, we're going to get a title holding company. And we started doing real estate. So we would rent properties and lease them out for people is what we did as a church. So one of the things that why? Because we believe, the Bible says a couple of things. One of them, it says that if you see a man diligent in business, he shall stand before kings. He shall not stand before mean men. It also says, beloved, above all things, I would that you would prosper and be in health, even as your soul prospers. Every once in a while, somebody does believe the Bible up in here, so it's all right. So when I found out my significant why, I began to say to myself, okay, what is your significant why for business? Why is this important? Because if I don't have it, I can't do it. So one of the things I said, you know what? I'd like to put a business together to be able to give an inheritance to my children. That's one of the things. I'm just being honest with you. That's what I said. I don't want them to start off like me. I want them to start off with money coming in. And then I said, but until it comes in, it can be a retirement vehicle for me. Isn't that crazy? Some people do 401ks. I made a decision to do real estate. That's what I did. So 17 years ago, my wife and I founded the FLI company, or the Ford Legacy Investment Company. Okay, and we started that with one property is what we started with. And today we have a few more. We didn't go up to the 10s and 20s and stuff like that. But the thing is that we got it started. How many people know that that's all right there? Okay. So when I talk about this today, I want to make sure you understand something. And I'll say this for those of you who are aspiring real estate people. Land is the only thing God is not making no more of. That and you. Okay? You're the only you have. Okay? So today what I'm going to talk about, and I'll put it this way, it'll make more sense. How to be a better me. Do you guys understand what I'm talking about? How to be a better me. Because sometimes we can spend time trying to help everybody else and trying to get other people. I remember I spent hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars at times on trying to make my son the best receiver, the best sprinter in the world. And the Lord went like this. He said to me, he says, how are you going to be a better you? And what I found is that most entrepreneurs fail because they, on the inside, aren't doing the things that they need to do in order to stay on top of the ebbs and flows of life. So I'm going to put it this way. The first thing is finding a significant why. And the reason why I say that is because when I made a decision, it's going to be for retirement and it's going to be also as an inheritance for my kids. That meant that I didn't necessarily have to do it full time, although money works full time. Y'all know that, right? So if you can find you some land, woo-wee. Right now, how many people seen the rent prices go up? Lease prices go up. 17 years ago, I didn't see this coming, but it's coming today. Here's the other reason with land. Did you know Airbnb and Vrbo currently are the single biggest reason why rent is as high as it is? Because people have made a decision that I'm not going to rent my house to regular folks. I'm going to rent my house to an Airbnb. I'm going to become a hotel myself. And because I'm becoming a hotel myself, they pulled those rental places out. So if you want some place to rent now, you got to pay through the roof. So right now, if you make a decision that, land, man, what is that? That can be legacy kind of stuff is what we're talking about now. So I'll talk about how I got my first property, because I think those things are really kind of cool as well, or one of my properties or something like that. So that's number one. Number two, I think the number two thing is making sure that you become highly competent. Highly competent. I remember hearing this story about Muhammad Ali. He got on an airplane one time. He's sitting in the airplane. The stewardess came down and said, "Excuse me, sir, can you put your seatbelt on?" He looked up at her, and he just kept on sitting there. She walked down the aisle and then came back and looked over and seen him still sitting there without the seatbelt and said, "Excuse me, sir, can you put your seatbelt on?" And he says, "Ma'am, Superman don't need no seatbelt." And so she looked over at him. She said, "Oh, really?" He said, "Yeah, Superman don't need no seatbelt." She says, "Well, Superman don't need no plane, so put your seatbelt on and be quiet." One of the things you got to be is you got to be highly competent. Somebody say highly competent. The Bible says, "In all thy getting, get understanding." Vince Lombardi, one of the greatest coaches ever, said the quality of a person's life is in direct proportion to their commitment to excellence, regardless of the chosen endeavor that they go into. Opportunities will always present themselves to people who work hard, and people who work smart understand their product and understand the services that they have. I remember reading a book a long time ago with my son called The Outliers. Have anybody ever heard of that book before, The Outliers? The Outliers is a book by a man by the name of Malcolm Gladwell. And it is a book that chronicles the lives of some of the most prominent and powerful people in business and in sports in the world. One of the people they chronicleize is and do a biography on is Bill Gates. One of them they do is Wayne Gretzky. If we were to say the great one, mostly everybody would know who we're talking about right there. The Beatles as well. But it talks about a particular thing that they had that was different from everybody else. Some of it talked about how old they were when they began to do whatever they began to do. That they were born late, so they had another whole year to develop, or they were born early, so that, just different things. But one of the things that it talked about when it talked about Bill Gates was that when he was like 13 or 14 years old, his parents end up having a way to get him a computer, like a TRS-80, something small or whatever. And he joined a computer club. And so one of the things that he did is he spent just ungodly hours on this computer. So much so, back in the day, computers would be the size of this building. How many people remember they used to have, this is called mainframes. Y'all know what mainframes are? They have punch tickets, punch cards. I know some of y'all don't know what I'm talking about at all, but I'm trying to help somebody. But back in the day, they had these kind of things. And so what he would do is, because mainframe time was precious, so he would sneak out of his mother and father's house at the age of 13, 14, and 15 and drive down to the University of Washington to get mainframe time. So what happened was he began to learn that, and he began learning software and how to program a little bit, and just worked it and worked it and worked it and worked it. And what happened as he got older, he started working for companies. He started working for companies that would allow him to write software and do all these different things. He's like 18 years old, 19 years old. He'd do these internships for the summer at certain places. And then he went to Harvard. Y'all remember he went to Harvard for like a year or two and ended up quitting Harvard. Let me tell you why he quit Harvard. Because they couldn't teach him nothing no more. Somebody say highly competent. Whatever your craft is, you got to know it. And what they were talking about is the amount of hours it took to become a professional. And that is called the 10,000 hour rule. 10,000 hours. So for a person to become a professional, it usually takes about 10,000 hours in that discipline or that study to begin to get that way. So it's one of those things that, I believed education was a big deal. A couple years ago, I went back and got a master's in divinity as well as a master's in theology because my desire was to teach at the university level as well. I wanted to have multiple streams of income, be able to do a number of different things, but highly competent. I remember when you think about highly competent people, these are the things that I think about. Committed to excellence. I use that term a lot. Somebody say excellence. Excellence will get you in doors that mediocrity will never let you in. Excellence. People who are highly competent, they never settle for average. They never settle for average. They pay attention to detail. They pay attention to details. I've always heard back in the day, details make the difference. They pay attention to detail. I'll give you an example. When we were growing our school, one of the things that we understood was the great part of the problem in Lima, Ohio, was none of the parents were going to college. Like people would leave the area and never come back. So if people were there, they were just taking plant jobs or taking retail jobs, and that was pretty much it. So nobody was ever there to push the kids into education. So one of the things that we said was that, the parents are not gonna do homework when they bring them home. So we might need to create a study hall or create a certain thing so the kids can do their homework here so they don't come back not knowing nothing. We had to make adjustments. You know what I'm saying? We have to do that kind of thing. The other side of it, when I think about it, is we understood that the more money and more time we put into teachers to make them more competent, the better test scores the kids had. Why? Because highly competent, when you become highly competent, you become a better you, okay? You find your significant why, but you know what? You become highly competent, you become a better you. And so when I think about these things, it's important because you have to understand when you're not highly competent, you can have problems. So there was a company that had to put out 20,000 checks per hour, okay? They had to print 20,000 checks per hour so that people get paid, payroll, all that kind of stuff, right? Well, if they were 99.9%, perfect at what they did, 22 people wouldn't receive checks. You understand what I mean when I say excellence? No, you have to do way more. Somebody say way more than what's expected of you if you're going to have a strong business. The other thing that I think about when I think about a person becoming highly competent, they are focusing on the job. They are sweating the small stuff, and they're giving attention to details. Lewis can tell you for years, we had what were called checklists for everything we did. I don't care whether it is making sure a classroom looks the same way yesterday as it did today. When people leave the shop, it needs to look this way every time. And we got a checklist to make sure that happens. Why? Because we have to perform at a higher level of excellence than our neighbor. We have to perform. Why? Because we want to, let me tell you something. He said, above all things, I want you to prosper. But you're not going to prosper being junky. You're not going to prosper being second rate. Excellence. If you got stuff and you got to put away, put it in totes. Do something. Set it up the right way so that when people come in there, they don't think that there's a slouch running the business. I'm just trying to help somebody every once in a while. So for things that I was not competent at, I had to add people. Like she added attorneys and added whatever. Well, in real estate, I have to add plumbers. I don't do plumbing. I don't do plumbing. So I better find somebody that is a master plumber that knows how to do what they're doing. I have people right now that have keys to my property so that I can just, hey, if something goes on, they're over there, they own it. Electrician, master plumber, carpenter. Sometimes I can find those guys that are just in carpentry school or an apprentice and whatnot, and they want to work for next to nothing, but I was trying to help them out so they can get a name for themselves. But I had to put a team together to help me get to where I'm supposed to be. And that's what we did in real estate. Third thing, number 3. Hey, I'm coming around the bend now, like you're running a 200, halfway around. When you talk about excellence, as we just talked about, and being highly competent, you never know what can happen when you do that. I remember hearing a story about a multi-millionaire that went to a restaurant because he heard the food was good. Came in there, sat down, ate the food. Food was pretty, he sat down, he wanted the food. He heard the food was good, but nobody came to greet him at his table. The waitress never came over. And so the waitress never came over, so the busboy came over and said, can I help you, sir? I think the waitress might be a little busy and whatnot. And he says, I heard that the food was good here. I just wanted to try this, that, and the other. He says, oh, yeah, I can get that for you. What would you like to drink? I'd like, this, and the other. Okay, we'll get it taken care of, and I'll get it all back to you. So he had went about, ended up getting the person's order, brought it back, stayed with him. Did you need another drink? This kind of thing. The guy thought the food was phenomenal. Loved the food. But he didn't like the service. So he bought the restaurant, fired everybody, and made the busboy the manager. Excellence. Somebody say excellence. You'll never know who's looking. You never know. And so that's why we, that's why we go to our next one here and we begin to talk about developing mental toughness. Number 3, develop mental toughness. Because life can be tough. Life can be hard. Scripture says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Wrong thoughts can pull you down a road that you will never come up out of. If you're going to be in prison, usually it's going to be in your mind. Because the greatest ability that any of us have is the ability to believe. I remember Oprah said something like this. She said, you don't get what you want, you get what you believe. Ain't that something else coming from Oprah? Look at that. So think about this. So when we talk about mental toughness, one of the things that we have to do if we're going to be mentally tough is we have to protect the gates. Protect the gates. You have to protect your eye gate and your ear gates. You got to make sure that, if it says that a companion of fools will be destroyed, if you hang around the wrong folks, broke people all the time, you will remain broke. That is a guarantee. If you hang around people that are trying to do something, if you take time out of your Saturday morning and say, you know what, I might hear a nugget today that will help you. How many people already heard a nugget today? I bet you have. Sometimes what you have to do is eat the hay and spit out the sticks. I get what I can, put in my back pocket, and I take this when I go. Y'all want to hear me? Y'all want to hear me talking about $2 billion? That's what y'all want to talk. I ain't talking about $2 billion right now. I'm talking about trillion. I'm talking about you. How to be a better you. Because if I can't think right under pressure, I'm in trouble. I remember we were trying to open a school one time, Lewis, and the air conditioning units that we needed to get in there were not going to be in for another month. But we already almost passed the date where school can start. You got letters of support from the community. You got kids already registered. You got teacher contracts. You got to start paying. Can't nobody get in the building because it ain't approved by the city. Let me tell you what we did. We was like, man, we just got to believe in the favor of God. We got to figure out something else. Went down there, began to talk to the building inspector people. Building inspector came in there, walked around, looked up. Well, why don't you get a couple of them big country fans and put them in here until the air conditioning come in, and we'll go on and approve it for that right there. Why? Because you got to think out the box. You got to find somebody that know more than you know, and whatever you got to do. Somebody say, well, I ain't going to say amen, but anyway. But mentally tough. You got to be mentally tough to deal with these things. Another thing you have to do is you have to avoid personal jealousies. Avoid personal jealousies. Oh, they got a shop down here. Oh, they got, what they think they doing. Oh, all this kind of stuff. Just crabby kind of stuff. Stay away from all that. It's enough for everybody. Isn't it? It's a big old world. If she can ship cupcakes to 50 states, what can you do? Thank you, boys and girls. No. You have to adopt an I am all in mentality if you're going to be mentally tough. I'm all in. Y'all know what all in means? That means midnight, all the way through the day if you're going to be there. Let me tell you, when we did ministry, it was full-time ministry. Y'all know what full-time ministry means? That means you wake up in the middle of the night. Pastor Ford, we got such and such over here, you know what I'm saying? They're in the hospital. They got, oh, dear God, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. Let me tell you what you going to do. Either find a way to stave it on off, or you go on and fire up the car. Because it's full-time ministry. I was at that church Monday, typically every day, at least a little bit. And that's the truth. Well, that's just not a good work-life balance. I didn't know nothing about that. I was just trying to live. And sometimes you got to do what you got to do. Fake it till you make it. And so then as we continue on here, oh man, my time is rolling out. There are a number of things that I thought is really important as we talked about your significant why, being highly competent, but also developing mental toughness. You have to also understand that you have to respect the power of words and also embrace the three Ds, which is discipline, detail, and dedication. Discipline, detail, dedication. You embrace those, you're going to be strong mentally and be able to do stuff that you never could do before. Because sometimes you're going to face pressures that you don't know what to do with. I remember there was a businessman who had business he was doing with a loan shark. Don't do business with loan sharks, y'all. But he was doing business with a loan shark. And the loan shark was there, and he knew he had this businessman because he owed him all this money. And so the businessman said, well, you know, I need to pay this debt off, but I don't have the money and whatnot. Well, the loan shark was an older guy. He was really old. And the businessman, he had a daughter that he thought was really cute. And so he said, well, if you just give me your daughter, your 21-year-old daughter, then, you know, we'd be good. And the guy's like, that's disgusting. I'm not doing none of that. I'm not doing none of that. Oh man, I can't do that. And he said, okay, well, why don't we do this? He says, why don't I come over to your place, all right? And so you don't know what's going on, or you don't realize what I'm doing, or the way he put it, it was a mess. He says, so it's not obvious what I'm trying to do. I'm going to do this. I'm going to have a black pedal and I'm going to have a white pedal in my hand, all right? And I'm going to put them in a bag. And if I pull out the black pedal, your debt is going to be paid and your daughter is yours. But if I pull out a white pedal, okay, then I get your daughter and your debt is still going to be paid, okay? He's like, I don't know if I want to do that. He said, but okay. Well, he told his daughter about it and she didn't like it. So the old man come walking down the driveway, and she looked out the window and she was watching. And she watched him reach down and pick up 2 white pedals. 2 white pedals. And then he walked over and then he put them in the bag. And she says, they go out there and says, yeah, go on and put your hand in the bag and pull out a pedal. And so she reached down and she acted like she dropped a pedal on the ground, you know, among the white and the black pedals. And so it's like, oh man, okay. I dropped it. No biggie. Why don't you just pull a pedal out and you know which one I pulled out in the first place? She reached out. And the old man was like, man, if I reach in here, I'm gonna get a white one. But if I fake it, they're gonna know I was messing around. I was cheating them. So he just reached in there and got it. But that's mental toughness. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's thinking through something tough in order to get where you need to be. And then number 4, which I like, you know what I'm saying, quite a bit here. If you guys ask some questions as well, is to be focused. You got to be focused. An acronym for focus is follow one course until successful. Focus. Follow one course until successful. Sometimes we want to do it all. But we don't have to do it all. If we can just drill in on one. I remember sitting in church one day and I had already acquired my first rental property, and I was sitting up and the Lord, dropped on me while I was just sitting in there. He says, go buy a duplex right now. I'm just, hold on, what? Go buy a duplex right now. I said, okay, Lord, okay. So I went and sat down, in the front row of the church. And after the service got done, I went back and called the realtor and said, hey, Debbie, that duplex that we looked at a while ago, can you let them people know that I will give them this certain amount? And that's kind of what I'd like to do, but I'd like to go and buy it. And then she was like, okay. So we put our offer down, $500, just a measly $500, just to hold it. Earnest money is what they call it, I think. And so I went over and I said, I went and talked to the bank, and the bank said, okay, for this one, you're going to need about $16,000, $17,000 down, because you got to bring some collateral now. They're just not giving money away. Put down, I said $16,000, $17,000. I didn't have no $15,000, $16,000, $17,000. He could have said a whole lot of numbers I didn't have, but I didn't have that. So I said, okay, well, I don't know about this. I go back home and, week or two pass, and then they call back and they says, well, we think we can do it for about $12,000. If we can do $12,000, we can probably do that. I say, okay, maybe so, and I'll go back home another week later. Y'all know, you got like 30 days. You got like 30 days to get real estate, right? And you got to close. Y'all know what I'm talking about? So I get on over there and I'm sitting up there, and then I get a call from them. They said, well, we can probably do it. We looked at some things. We can probably do it for about $8,000. We was at 16. They said, we can do it for $8,000. I was like, okay, well, $8,000, that's better than that. And then I was sitting up there and I said, well, maybe I can get my father-in-law to help me do this so I don't drain everything I got. And then I heard the Lord say, I told you to get a duplex. Y'all know y'all gave a preacher a microphone this morning, don't y'all? Man, do you know, I sat there and I was like, okay, Lord, what am I going to do? It was a week before I called them. They said $5,000. $5,000. But I needed $10,000 back from them to fix it up. So it's getting ready there. And then it goes to, I said, Lord, what am I going to do with this situation? And I called the bank the day of. And I said, hello, my name is Herb Ford. I have a closing today at such and such time. I just need to go in and get a certified check to know how much money I need to bring. And he said, what's your name again? I said, Herb Ford. They said, what's the last 4 of your social? I said, it is this. They said, what time is your closing? I said, this time. I said, let me check. She says, oh, you don't need to bring no money. Just bring your ID. It's documented. I said, real estate. Somebody say real estate. Real estate. That's why you got to get one of them bankers. Because let me tell you what the banker did. The banker took a look at the real estate that I had and said, because you got this real estate, we'll just put a lien right here while you keep that real estate, and you ain't got to put nothing down. We'll give you $10,000. Go fix it up and get people up in there, and the rest is history. One of the things that you got to be able to do, you're going to have to be able to believe, but you're going to still need a little bit of help from above. I'll just put it that way. I got a show every week. If y'all want to see it, it's called Faith Always Works. It's on Facebook. It's streaming all over the world. And I'll teach you how to use your faith. But that is what I'm just talking about today is business, okay? So follow one course until successful. I was focused on what I needed to do. I was focused on how I did my business. I remember Will Smith was laying bricks one time with his daddy to build the side of a store that his dad had. And he was just putting the bricks up there, and his dad was doing just one brick and just putting it on there, one brick. And he looked at his dad and said, Dad, why are you doing it that way? He said, I'm doing it that way because that's how you build a wall. I said, no, you build a wall by putting them up and doing whatever. We got places to go. I got stuff I got to do. He says, no, what you do is you take one brick and you lay that one brick as perfectly and as excellently as you can, do that one brick, and you do it all the way along, and then you build that wall the way it's supposed to be built. It's focus. It's focus. When I was little, we used to have magnifying glasses, and we would go outside and we would use the refraction of the sun, because I used to eat Cracker Jacks back in the day. Remember Cracker Jacks? And they put a magnifying glass in the Cracker Jack box. Y'all remember the prize? And we take that and we would burn them leaves and ants and all kinds of stuff. But what it was is the refraction from the focus of the heat from the sun or the light, and that's what did it. If your eye be single, your whole body will be full of light. It's called focus. Somebody say focus. And then finally, as we begin to wrap up today, we talk more about you than we have about business. But if you're going to have a business, you got to be taken care of. Last thing, be a finisher. Don't quit. Don't quit. Be a finisher. You guys have heard the stories of people like J.K. Rowling, who went to 12 publishers with a typewritten manuscript for her books that would end up being Harry Potter. She ended up being one of the richest women ever on the planet. But 12 publishers told her no. Walt Disney was fired from the Kansas City Star because they said he didn't have no creativity. 302 banks said no to Disneyland, but he kept going. Colonel Sanders was turned down 1,009 times for Kentucky Fried Chicken because the banks could not believe nobody would actually drive to somebody's business and buy some chicken that was fried in a bucket. 109. Oprah Winfrey was fired in Baltimore from being a reporter because they said that she put too much emotion into her stories. And as a consolation, they gave her like a daytime morning show, and she killed it. Y'all know the rest is history. Be a finisher. Someone say, be a finisher. Every successful person finds great success lies just beyond the point that they are convinced that their idea is not going to work. It's just beyond that point. And, and the reason why I say this, and, I'm going to, there's several things that, that I've done in my short life. We have a real estate investment company. We have, I do some consulting for daycares because we had one for a very long time. I've written 2 children's books. They're going to give 2 of them away today. One is called The Little Red Bag, and there's another one called Grandpa Jack's Visit. My 3rd one is being written, and I have a devotional that we're writing as well. As I said, I minister a number of different places, and I do business stuff as well. I'm actually currently my day job, because my business is kind of more like on the side, but my day job, I'm actually a talent acquisition. I want to say manager, but I'm not going to put it that way right now. But I'm in talent acquisition, and I work for the 4th largest material handling company in the world. And so I find entry level all the way up to management level, sales management level reps and managers for that company, and just doing a number of different things right now. The one thing that I will tell you is that if you're going to be successful, not only are you going to have to find your significant why, not only are you going to have to be very competent in your skill and what you do, you're going to have to be focused, you're going to have mental toughness, and you got to be a finisher. But I think if you do it, there's going to be somebody in the boat with you to help you get where you need to go. I believe that. As I close today, and just give you an opportunity for some questions, I remember hearing a story about a man who's a businessman, and he was trying to catch a late flight home, and he almost missed the flight. As he checked in and got on the plane, and he came in and he saw a little girl in the aisle seat, and then he saw an empty seat and an older lady on the end. And he just said, well, I'll go on and, take this middle seat. And so he took the middle seat. And as he sat there, he saw the little girl playing with her dolls and had a coloring book out and whatnot. And he was looking over at her and just, he's just, cute little girl, whatnot. And so he's just glad he made the flight. And so as he's sitting there, about 35, 40 minutes into the flight, the pilot comes on and he says, hey, y'all, just want to let you know we're about to hit a little bit of rough air. How many people been on them flights right there? Lord have mercy. I mean, I don't like none of that, okay? There's going to be it's going to be up, it's going to be down. We just letting you know, put your seatbelt on, stay seated, don't move around the cabin right now. How many people know what you're supposed to do when he say that? Gotcha. So anyway, everybody sits there, and all of a sudden, that thing drops. Then it comes back up. Then it drops. And it did it for about a half hour. Just, And, you know, everybody's in there, The lady next to him, she crying, tears going, oh, God. You know, I mean, just all of it. Little girl's just sitting there playing with her. She had put her crayons up, but she had her down. She's just sitting there, just kind of swinging her legs like nothing in the world was going on. And I'm like sitting up there like, man, you know, he's like, what is up with this girl? You know, and then they keep on going again, like for 35 minutes, and finally it comes to an end. And they're about 10 minutes from their destination. And he looks over the little girl, and she's looking the same. Why, it's dried up tears on everybody else's face. And he thought he was going to die, have a heart attack and whatnot. He looking at her, and she calm. He looked over and she said, excuse me, I don't know why you're so brave. How'd you get to be that brave? How'd you get to do that? And she said, what do you mean? He says, no, we were flying when the plane was going up and down. And why are you so calm? She says, oh, the pilot is my daddy, and he just taking us home. So I just want to let y'all know that no matter what you're doing in life, you're going to have ebbs and flows, ups and downs in your business. But if you stay the course, be focused, believe, I believe daddy will get you home. Thanks, guys. Anybody have any questions today? Anybody have any questions? Yes. Just type in Faith Always Works. You can type in Herb Ford, Faith Always Works, all of that. Yep, if you go on there, I am there. Mondays at 6:30. I think we're going to change it to Tuesdays at 7:30 because we realize that we're in different time zones now. And so some people are on their way home from work and different things like that. But that's what we do. It's going to be it's a phenomenal show. We teach people the mechanics of faith. We really do. And do an exceptional job of it. I'd like to talk to you guys at some other time how we believed God for a child when the doctor said it was impossible. Yes? It is Facebook, yes, but we are going to pop back on YouTube pretty soon, okay? But if you go on YouTube and look up Faith Always Works, you can see the shows and different things that we do there as well. Yeah? Yes? Yes?
Regarding your real estate.
Yep.
When you said you guys have a title company, does that mean that when you all buy the property, it's not your name personally, but you put it like an LLC?
That's what we did with the church. Yep, it was called Shunem Enterprises is what it was called. And basically what we did was they owned it, that company owned it, and we leased it out, and they paid that, and then that company paid dividends back to the church, if it is the way that it worked. My company is an LLC, and so we take all, get all, put all the work we can, so yeah. Any other questions that you guys may have? I'm glad that I was able to be here today. How many people enjoyed what you heard this morning? Was that all right? It's great stuff. Well, thank you so much. Lewis, you can come on up.
Clap your hands for Herb Ford again, everybody. All right. We have a couple of people that we want to bring up to share a few things. The first person I'm going to bring up now, this person behind the scenes, if anybody has a spouse out there that supports them in what they do, can you clap your hands? Well, I do. And so I want to bring up my wife, Sharbria Shine. She's going to share some things about her company. And I believe she has a giveaway in her hand. So clap your hands for my wife, Sharbria.
Hey guys, hey! I'm the hype man. Woo-hoo. Thank you guys so much for coming out. I am Sharbria Shine, and actually, I feel like he's more of the support. He's so awesome with what I do. He just said, go after your dreams, and I love that. Thank you so much. Okay, so what I do is I'm an entrepreneur full-time, and I have a productions company. And so my background is I have a business degree, but I actually start off in musical theater at Columbia College with dance, acting, and singing. So what a better way to be able to be an entrepreneur than to have your own production company. I was a professional dancer for years, my earlier years. But then I got to the point where I'm so creative. Instead of always auditioning for other people's things, why not write your own? So I write stage plays, musicals, also singer-songwriter. And then I have a podcast, Max Out Girl. Woo-hoo! I encourage women to max out in every area of their lives. Her episode is coming up soon in March, yes, Cute as a Cupcake. And so in that, on my podcast, I just encourage women to go after their dreams. Also with their faith, their career, relationships, love life, all of that good stuff. And so what we're doing, we do events, me and my husband, we love events. And so we're also partnering with the Dina Barbara White Community Center. Woo, woo! So we have a lot of great things coming up. And so we love entrepreneurship. We love the creative side as well. He really loves business, and I really love doing the arts, with my business. So our next event for women is the Women in Purpose Empowerment. Woo! Some ladies already have tickets. I see you. So that is March 3rd, 6:30 to 9:30. We're gonna just be empowering you, pumping you up in purpose, in destiny, whether that's business or personal life. We're just gonna have a great time. If y'all know me, we're gonna have some fun. So you're gonna be empowered, but we're gonna have fun as well. And then we also have a Great Gatsby, the Dina Barbara White Community Center, a Great Gatsby dinner and live music. How many of y'all heard of the Great Gatsby? Anybody? Okay, 1920 style, okay. We're gonna have a live jazz band. We're gonna have the Gatsby Girls special dance. I'm one of them, by the way. The Gatsby Girls 1920s production. And it's gonna be great food. How many of you guys have had some of the food from our last year's event, from veterans? Okay, I'm coming for the food. I'm not gonna be vegetarian that day, okay? So come out, that is a fancy event. So it's whether you're coming out with your friends or date night, it's gonna be just a really fun time. And then we're also gonna have a May 19th event, Self-Love Empowerment. So that's for women, where we're gonna have a panel, expert panel, experts talking about self-love in different areas, but also, ladies, it's a pajamas. You can be casual or you can be as fancy as you like, but there are gonna be massages, there are gonna be makeup artists. How many of y'all wanna get your face beat? Makeup artists, we're gonna have back massages, chiropractor, the whole 9 yards, just a fun time, not only talking about self-care and self-love, but demonstrating it, having a great time. And then also we're gonna be having a jazz and gospel fest. I mean, the list goes on and on. There's so many events that's gonna be here, so check it out on my website. It's up right now, sharpriashshine.com. We have so many things, a women's conference coming up this year, dinner and live theater with one of my stage plays. How many of you guys have seen one of my stage plays before? Okay, you were in it. Woo, shout outs, okay. Cast member in the house. So yeah, so we want to give a giveaway. I have my stage play, my very first Single Woman Chronicles. But who has a DVD player anymore? Raise your hand. I don't know, nobody know. Oh, a few people. I'm like, am I the only one still has one? Okay, so I'm also an author. That goes as a podcaster, so I have several books. But I want to give some giveaways. Go ahead and give me a ticket, babe. Come on. Let's see what you got for me. Okay, we have 023400042. That's 023400042. Okay, come on down, girl. Yes, give her a hand, everybody. You get to choose whether you want the DVD or the book. It is up to you. You'll take the book, okay? There you go. Woo woo, give her a hand. All right, let's get one more. Did you give me that? Okay. 023400036. That's 023400036. Oh, okay, come on, Pastor Joe. Woo woo. Now you get a DVD mementos of Single Woman. You know a lot of the cast. You know all of the cast. He came to support us during our play. Thank you so much. Thank you. That was my first play, Single Woman Chronicles. We are going on tour next year, and for Northwest Indiana, we will be doing Single Woman Chronicles 2. So check me out, sharpriashshine.com. I love y'all. Hopefully you had a great time today. Bye, guys.
All right. Let's keep up. We got a couple more giveaways. As Herb Ford mentioned, he's an author and he has a book that is called The Little Red Bag. All right, so we're going to give a couple of these away. Pull out your tickets. First ticket is 023400034. 023400034. Going once. Gone. All right. If that is you, please still see me. All right. We're going to call this next number 023-40048. All right. All right. Come on down. Clap your hands. Now, this may be a good read for you, or perhaps you know some younger ones in your family as well. So keep it in the family. All right, man. All right. We're going to give away one more. All right. Pull out your ticket. All right, next one. 023-40044. All right, all right. Come on down. I like the feel of this book too. It has that nice feel to it, you know, some substance. All right, clap your hands for everybody. Now, a couple more giveaways. We have our Jazz and Gospel Fest that's coming up on July the 29th. Now, it was amazing last year. My wife, she actually sang and her band was there. We also had Merlon Divine. He closed us out. It was amazing, but we have an amazing show for you guys lined up this year. So we want to give a couple of pairs of tickets away to the Jazz and Gospel Fest for you jazz lovers out there. 023-40037. All right, Mr. Ty Carpenter. Appreciate it. See me after, and I'll get your tickets to you. All right, let's give away another pair. All right. We got a saxophone player in the house, too. He ain't bringing sax today, no. He might do a little something for us at some future events, all right? All right, 023-40041. Oh. There it is. All right, let me shake your hand. Clap your hands for everybody. All right, so I'm going to give those tickets to you. All right, we have one more person before we end, and I'll allow you to mix and mingle as we begin to transition out of here. This may be a resource for some of you business people in the house, which is probably everyone in the house. But I want to welcome up for a few moments just to talk Miss Clarice White. She is a Regional Business Development Officer with the Community Investment Fund of Indiana. So I'm going to allow her to take a couple minutes and tell you about a few things.
Thank you. Your wife has a lot of energy. We have to call her the Energizer Bunny. Again, my name is Sharice White, and what our business does is we provide small loans. We provide loans to small businesses, and last year, Economic Development provided money to us for grants. We don't have the grants, but I had 115 businesses that received a $5,000 grant, and Miss Michelle received one. So when you go to the bank, and if for any reason you're turned down, we have our own money. So you can come to me. I have my cards, and come and I'll give you my information. We're located downtown Hammond. And again, small businesses, entrepreneurs, and you and your wife are doing a wonderful job. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, so that concludes what we have for you guys today. We are excited that so many people came out to partake of what we're doing. And it's really to bless you. We want to bless our local entrepreneurs and just pour into you so that you can take something out of here and it'll be a catalyst to what you're doing within your business so that you can explode and increase in what you have in your hand too. So with all that being said, our next one is on April the 29th. I mean, you'll see that on the flyer, so take that with you. Put it on your refrigerator, all right? And we actually have another speaker that is coming. It's actually a professional sports team owner that we're just kind of finalizing things. So you'll see that on the website for that next person that will be on the 29th. Also, our third one is on September the 16th, and then immediately following that third one will be our November 4th Expo. Now this Expo is going to be even bigger than last year. Some of you guys that were here last year, it was amazing. And so this year we actually have the entire facility. So we have not only the gymnasium where we'll have our big expo area, our big stage with the video boards, but we'll also have all three of these rooms on this side. So if you don't know, this room here, there's actually two more of these rooms. And so the way we'll format it is we'll have our expo time, we'll have keynotes, and in between those keynotes, we'll have a morning and afternoon breakout session where we'll have speakers in each one of these rooms. So you'll be able to choose from a plethora of topics. Maybe that's branding, maybe that's funding or whatever it might be. We'll have those things lined out along with the speakers that will actually be speaking in these breakout rooms. So you have your morning session, keynote, you'll get breakout, come back for a lunch keynote, and we'll have our afternoon breakout. So it's going to be amazing. Plus we'll have food and everything here that you can take advantage of. So you can spend all day with us. This is going to be an awesome time, all right? So we'll have more information, but please just stay tuned to the entrepreneurbusinessexpo.com is where everything will be. This is going to be a fabulous time this year. So hope you guys will come out again. And for the rest of the time today, we have to be out of this room at 1, so you have time to network a little bit, visit our amazing vendors over here. Also, make sure you see Mr. George in the back with Lakeshore Video. If you have any video needs, like we do everything with him. So whether it's big or small, whatever the project, he will take care of you. So make sure you touch base with him. Grab some snacks. I challenge you again, before you leave, you have to talk to one person that you have not met and network with that person, because your network is your net worth. All right? So thank you guys for coming out and enjoy the rest of the time together.